This segment of the Aquatic Supervision Swimming and Water Rescue course covers how to set up a safe swim area in a natural body of water that is not maintained as a regular swimming location. Key ingredients for a successful unit swim include knowledgeable leadership, youth eager to get wet, and a suitable body of water. However, a safe, successful swim also requires advanced preparation. Let's first cover what leaders need to consider prior to the activity. The first of those is the personal health review required by Safe Swim Defense. Check health histories and physicals for any conditions that need special consideration and respect any limitations or precautions indicated by parents or physicians. Also check for any recent injury or illness that might temporarily limit in-water activities. Next, review the swimming abilities of unit members. How you set up a remote swim area will depend on the number of participants in each ability group. You may need to provide opportunities for swim classification tests prior to the activity. Requirements and procedures for conducting the test will be covered in a different module. Also identify which leaders and youth have previous training in water rescue, such as Life Saving Merit Badge, BSA Lifeguard, or this course. You will need to select response personnel to guard both the swim and the in-water setup. You will need to provide rescue equipment for the response personnel, as well as supplies for setting up the swim area and keeping track of participants. Contents of a safe swim kit will vary with the type of activity, but here are some basics. Rope is essential for a line and tender rescue team.
Hold on to that rope, you're going to be just fine. Hold on to that rope nice and tight. Hold on, you're going to be just...
Rescue throw bags are ideal for storing the line. Make sure the rope floats and is long enough to cover your area. Flotation aids make good rescue devices and may be used by safety swimmers during area setup. Various types of life jackets are often available during float trips or can be added to the Safe Swim Kit. Swimming areas for non-swimmers and beginners must be marked with a physical boundary, that is, something swimmers will run into before reaching deep water. Floating line is good for that. Balloons or other floats are handy for marking areas and help keep the line in place. To hold the floats, you will need light line and anchors. Rocks found at the site can be used for anchors, but are not always available or easy to tie to. Various types of bags, filled with small rocks or sand, make good anchors and are easy additions to a safe swim kit, since you only carry the bags, not the weights. Nylon bags are good, but plastic bags, canvas sacks, or even socks will work. The buddy system is always used during BSA swimming activities, including setup of a safe area. Various systems, such as clothespins, buddy tags from camp, or even a list on a clipboard, may be used to keep track of buddy pairs and their swimming ability. Don't forget riding instruments for whichever system you choose. A first aid kit is an important item for any outdoor activity. Having a spare in your safe swim kit is handy. Don't forget sunscreen. Shoes are a prudent precaution for safely checking the bottom for many swim areas. Although not carried in the Safe Swim Kit, make sure shoes that can get wet are part of the individual equipment list. To review, pre-trip preparation for a swimming activity includes reviewing health histories, checking swimming abilities, identifying those with water rescue training, and assembling a safe swim kit. We are now ready to return to our remote area. Setting up a swim area with 3 ability groups can take a bit of time. Therefore, large units should consider using a small group of older, trained youth to set up the area, while the rest of the unit does something else. That will prevent those not involved in the setup from getting bored. Before anyone goes into the water, unit leaders should clearly explain safety procedures and each step in the process. Safety features include strict adherence to all points of safe swim defense, including the buddy system, response personnel, and a lookout. The first task is to check shallow water for hazards such as debris or drop-offs. That is done with a line of swimmers walking parallel to shore. Shorter swimmers are positioned near the shore, and taller swimmers near the other end. It is also possible to use a line moving perpendicular to shore, but a line moving parallel to shore is preferred. Such a line allows objects to be passed to shore, prevents everyone from stepping off into deep water at the same time, and better utilizes those at different heights. Once leaders are convinced that shallow water or sufficient area is clear, a buddy check is given.
Buddy check! 1, 2, 3. You got 3? Go. 3's good.
And everyone leaves the water. A buddy check is also indicated if there are any problems during the search, such as someone snagged by a fishing line. If the initial sweep determines that the area is not suitable, then the group needs to move to a different location. In murky water, deep water conditions are checked by a single good swimmer. A floating line with a loop tied with a bowline may be slipped over the swimmer's shoulder and tended by the swimmer's buddy on shore. The loop should be tight enough not to fall off inadvertently, but loose enough that the swimmer can slip free if needed. A safety swimmer with a flotation device may accompany the swimmer in the water. The safety swimmer is typically buddied with the lookout. The swimmer carefully bobs up and down as he moves into deep water. As the water deepens, he switches to feet first surface dives. Since the maximum depth for swimming in turbid water is only 8 feet deep, the swimmer need not submerge very far. If the swimmer encounters submerged trees, discarded appliances, or other hazards, then the area is not suitable for a safe swim site. The next step after you determine that bottom conditions are safe is to set up areas of appropriate depth for the ability groups. Areas only need to be defined for the groups that are present. If the unit has non-swimmers and swimmers, but no beginners, then a beginner's area is not needed. The non-swimmers area needs to be confined and limited to depths less than waist to chest deep. The beginner's area also needs to be confined. It may include depths just over the head, so long as shallow water is close by. The swimmer's area only needs boundary markers. Depths are limited to 8 feet in murky water and 12 feet in clear water. Water depths are restricted to make it easier for guards to respond to submerged victims. Once again, make sure that everyone understands their task before entering the water. Setting up one area at a time with a small group helps keep the process organized. Here's an example sequence. Note that the action has been condensed. Make sure you allow sufficient time for setup when planning a swimming activity. The non-swimmer area is set up first. Well-coordinated teamwork helps. The beginner area is next. The boundary line is adjusted and then held in place while anchored floats are attached. The swimmer's area is last. Note that floats are used to define the area, but lines are not needed to keep swimmers from accidentally entering deep water. If a line and tender rescue team is used, make sure the rescue line is long enough to reach just beyond the most distant marker.
In the middle, non-swimmers are on the right. Leave a little bit of a gap when you put your tags up there so we can distinguish who is who.
After area setup is completed, the rest of the unit can be checked in for the swim. Here clothespins are used for the buddy board. Review swimming procedures and emergency action plans prior to water entry. Then have a good time in a safe area by following all points of safe swim defense.
Good.
How you set up the swim area and position the response personnel and lookout will depend on bottom contours, the number of participants, and the participants' swimming classifications. There is not a set layout that is best for all situations. The time it takes to set up an area will also vary. In clear water, underwater hazards can often be identified rapidly from the surface. Swimming areas without lifeguards may be maintained at Army Corps of Engineer lakes, state parks, and other public beaches. Such areas probably will not need extensive searches for underwater hazards, but you will still need to determine where water depths are appropriate for the ability groups. You may be able to incorporate existing lines and buoys as area boundaries. You'll also need to decide where to post the lookout and response personnel. Here's another example of a safe swim area appropriate for a break on a canoe trip in a gently flowing river. Everyone is a swimmer, so only a single area is needed. Water depth and current increase away from the shallow gravel bar formed on the inside of a bend in the river. The response personnel define the swimming area by holding a line in an L-shaped pattern closed on the downstream side. Although deeper water is allowed, standing depth allows everyone to get wet and have fun and makes setting up the area safe, quick, and easy. Anyone caught unawares by the current should end up being able to grab the safety line. Life jackets add an additional margin of safety. Your instructor will take over from here.